Indeed, we did. All right, Colin, we got some breaking news here. This is just dropping. A huge story just came out in the Baltimore Sun about Lamar Jackson. Now, there's a lot to get into here. I just buzzed through the story here in the last 10 minutes. But bottom line is it's not good. It's not good for the future of Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. Apparently, he wants a new deal. Remember 2 years ago when I wanted the Jets to grab him? He was having issues with Baltimore. His mom was negotiating. He wanted the fully guaranteed deal. Didn't get it. Well, he has one more year before the Ravens can kind of move on from him if they want. But, Colin, some of the quotes in this article are pretty damning.
And this is from a long-time
credible journalist. Yes.
Yeah, a credible guy that's been around the program, so he's getting fed this.
Yeah. So there are rules. There are team rules, and there are rules for Lamar Jackson. Once the Ravens become critical of Jackson, he becomes more withdrawn. It's clear that Coach John Harbaugh has become tired of Jackson. Colin, remember, we've been talking about it, but I didn't put the pieces together. It would be like a Wednesday in October, and Lamar's like missing practice. And then he would miss like a Thursday practice the next week. He's just like not there all the time.
How about this one? How about this quote? He doesn't need to be up playing video games.
I mean, there's part of the article says that he doesn't want to practice in the morning, so the team practices in the afternoon. Now, is that because of video games? I don't know. Hey, sometimes you cater to your
He's falling asleep in meetings.
Colin, this is not great. Now, I did look at this. His cap hit this year, $43.5 million, leaps to $74.5 million next year. 24% of the Ravens salary cap is going to Lamar. They already don't have a good offensive line. They tried to put pieces together, some young guys. None of it worked. Okay? His base salary goes from 20 mil to 51 mil. Hey, Lamar's getting paid great. I don't know what the future is, though. The speculation at the end of the article is Lamar would love to be in Miami. We know he's from South Florida. Or Las Vegas, where, and the article says Tom Brady has a fondness for him.
Both
Lamar, of those guys need quarterbacks. Colin.
Hey, this is interesting. This is a fascinating story. If this stuff is true, he's had injuries. I mean, he's not as dynamic as he was the first 4 years starting. That is, and we know he's going to get less dynamic. Now, he may be better at the start of next year, but the truth is, Michael Vick told me this once, the first 3 years is one style. The remaining years after the hits, you're never quite as good as you were your last year in college and your first 3 years in the NFL. And Michael Vick has said that. He's like, you can't withstand these hits. The practice, the hitting, the games, the travel, he goes, it just wears you out. So, and I'm dead serious on this. Baltimore has such a great owner, such a great front office. They had 6 Pro Bowlers, I think, or something like that. They are such an unbelievable organization, and they have so much equity with fans. And I am a Lamar Jackson fan. But I would defend Baltimore if Miami said, okay, we'll give you 2 number 1s, and 2 number 2s, and you moved off him. And now, for a year, you're drafting a quarterback with your top pick. I would defend that. If this is true, 2 things can be true. I love Lamar, but in his because let's be honest, we know what separates him. It's not the pocket stuff. Although he's always been better than given credit for, it's the athletic ability. Well, what happens with super athletic NBA guys? Westbrook, they age fast.
Yeah. All right. This is a genuinely staggering situation unfolding right now. What we're essentially looking at, if we strip the narrative down to its core, is a reported and growing dissonance between the Baltimore Ravens franchise and Lamar Jackson. The prevailing sentiment from these reports suggests a mutual frustration. The organization harbors reservations about Lamar's approach, and Lamar himself may feel similarly detached. The characterization veers toward describing him as less of a collaborative team player than desired. Diva might be too strong, but it's in that conceptual neighborhood. Let me be explicit. These are not my personal assessments or conclusions. I'm simply synthesizing the firm reporting currently circulating. It's a fascinating, if troubling, development. We've extensively analyzed the Ravens' on-field challenges, but this injects a completely different dimension. It's notable that a prominent voice like Colin described the Ravens as a greatly run franchise with significant equity with their fan base, heavily implying they could theoretically move on from Lamar, endure a brief downturn, and the fans would understand. I'm here to tell you, with absolute conviction, that conclusion is profoundly mistaken. As someone deeply embedded in this space, producing a significant volume of Baltimore Ravens content and engaging with this fan base daily, I can state unequivocally, Lamar Jackson's fan base is a unique entity. I often group Lamar and Patrick Mahomes as the two quarterbacks who have cultivated a following that transcends their specific team allegiances. They are individual brands that have, in many ways, become synonymous with the franchise itself. My other example is often Jalen Hurts, but on the opposite end of that spectrum, Eagles fans are the overwhelming identity, with Hurts's personal fandom enveloped within it. With Lamar and Mahomes, it feels like there are legions of fans who are Lamar fans or Mahomes fans first. They have achieved that rare level of cultural transcendence. Therefore, moving on from Lamar wouldn't be a simple cold football calculation met with nodding acceptance. It would trigger a massive fan backlash of seismic proportions. I'm not even arguing it would be the wrong football decision, necessarily. If Lamar's contractual demands are exorbitant and the Ravens' internal assessment is that his development has plateaued or his approach is counterproductive, especially with ancillary reports about disengagement like dozing in meetings, then a separation might be justifiable from a front office perspective. There are legitimate parallels I've drawn before between Lamar's perceived demeanor and that of someone like Kawhi Leonard. I've consistently defended certain aspects of such personalities: the right to be more reserved, introverted, or to fiercely protect one's long-term health. I staunchly defend a player's right to say, "My body doesn't feel right," regardless of external medical clearance. We saw that play out with Kawhi and the Spurs. History suggests he was vindicated in prioritizing his chronic condition. I stand by that principle. However, what I do not defend is shutting down in the face of constructive criticism, resisting coaching, or exhibiting a lack of professional diligence. That's a separate issue from personality. I believe Lamar competes with ferocious intensity on game day, much like an Allen Iverson did. No one questioned Iverson's heart or will to win on the court. Yet, Iverson himself has later reflected on his need for greater maturity, a better mindset, and more commitment to practice. Veterans who have lived it, like Michael Vick, often speak to the necessity of evolution, that the physical feats of your early 20s are unsustainable, and you must adapt your game. This is a critical juncture I've highlighted before. We've witnessed Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and even Patrick Mahomes look fundamentally different at times this season, grappling with how to evolve. Jalen Hurts appears to be proactively trying to get ahead of that curve. It feels almost as if they all attended a summit on injury prevention, leading to a palpable shift in their styles. The question is it a sustainable evolution? My contention has been that Lamar possesses the talent to adapt and evolve at the quarterback position, but he cannot do it in a vacuum. He requires the right coaching infrastructure around him. The reporting suggests Lamar prefers a more autonomous, self-directed path. This reminds me of his comments after the loss to Philadelphia, where he cited advice from his mother and expressed a desire to just play the way I know how. That instinct, to revert to what's familiar and comfortable, is human, but it's often the enemy of growth at the highest level. If you consistently do what you've always done, you will invariably get what you've always gotten. Evolution is non-negotiable. Tom Brady in year 10 was not the player he was in year 5. In year 20, he was different again. The greatest athletes are perpetual students of their own reinvention. According to these reports, Lamar appears resistant to that kind of guided evolution. Yes, we can point to his improved passing metrics over the years, but there seems to be a perception of a ceiling, a plateau. The tagline about John Harbaugh growing tired of Jackson is explosive, though many are equally tired of Harbaugh's own perceived shortcomings. We can cite more instances where the coaching staff has arguably failed Lamar than the reverse. But to be fair, we can also pinpoint specific, critical moments in playoff losses where Lamar's performance was central to the outcome. This is where the deflection often begins. Well, Joe Burrow hasn't won one either, Josh Allen hasn't won one. But the critique of Lamar feels more pointed, rightly or wrongly. People seem more comfortable assigning him a central blame in those failures. I've even defended many of those moments myself, including the recent playoff loss to Buffalo. Yet, the reality remains that in the blame assignment spiderweb, everyone is pointing at someone else. A sober audit of the Ravens' recent history would likely conclude that blame is a shared burden. Lamar bears a portion. Harbaugh and the front office bear a portion. This is the brutal binary tragedy of sports. If Zay Flowers doesn't fumble at the goal line against Kansas City, if a critical penalty is avoided, the entire narrative shifts. You beat the Chiefs, you likely win the Super Bowl after demolishing the 49ers. The headline becomes MVP Lamar, Ravens Dynasty, Unstoppable. The current reported Fishers become irrelevant trivia. But they didn't score. They lost 17-10 at home in the AFC Championship. The coaching was inadequate. Lamar's performance was insufficient. While I place more blame on the former, the latter is part of the ledger. That chain of events, those fine-line, heartbreak losses, has culminated in this precipice. Serious internal discussion about moving on from a former MVP in his prime. The speed at which this can unravel is breathtaking. Further reports that Lamar would be open to destinations like Miami or Las Vegas add another surreal layer. Las Vegas, in particular, is baffling from a competitive standpoint, a franchise in disarray without a clear offensive vision. Playing for a respected coach like Antonio Pierce offers stability, but is it a Super Bowl infrastructure? Miami, with Mike McDaniel, is conceptually more intriguing. McDaniel's offensive genius could put Lamar in positions to succeed spectacularly. However, there's a vital distinction to be made. A coach can put you in a position to be better without fundamentally making you a better player. The latter requires a different kind of coaching relationship, one of challenging mentorship, technical refinement, and demanding accountability. It's unclear if McDaniel's collaborative, player-empowering style is that, or if Las Vegas currently possesses any such capacity. If Lamar truly desires growth and elevation, he needs that level of transformative coaching. It's not optional. A final observation. Fan bases deeply loyal to their superstar quarterbacks consistently downplay the importance of coaching. We see it with Mahomes' supporters, Lamar's, Baker Mayfield's, the list goes on. They attribute success purely to the player and dismiss systemic or schematic influence. I am telling you, history is unequivocal. There has never been a truly elite, championship-level quarterback who did not have great, or at least highly effective coaching. It is a prerequisite, not an accessory. This leads to the natural counter-argument. Then don't move on from Lamar. Get the right coach in place for him. But the reports suggest Lamar himself may be a difficult party in that equation, resistant to the very coaching he might need. Herein lies the profound messiness that I believe is being undersold. This isn't a clean binary issue. It's not simply all reports are false, or fire Harbaugh, or trade Lamar. My read of the situation, based on the volume and tenor of reporting, is that this is a deeply entangled, multifaceted problem. Both sides, the franchise and the franchise player, share a significant burden of responsibility for the current impasse. The path forward is fraught and unclear. Those are my initial thoughts on this developing story. I am extremely keen to hear yours. What is your take on the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson? Do you believe a separation is imminent or necessary? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one. Whether you agree or disagree, let's dive into this discussion. Let's have a passionate but ultimately respectful exchange about this pivotal moment for the franchise. Please consider subscribing to the channel. We are building an incredible community here, focused on substantive football dialogue, and I would be honored to have you join it. A thumbs up on the video also helps tremendously with visibility, allowing us to keep these important conversations going. Thank you so much for your time. I'll see you next time.